Hello and welcome to another episode of PodcastDX, the show that brings you interviews with people just like you whose lives were forever changed by a medical diagnosis. I'm Lita.
I'm Ron.
And I'm Jean Marie.
Collectively, we're the hosts of PodcastDX. We're welcoming again Anna Cooper back to the show. When we last spoke with Anna, she told us about Addisons disease. Today, she's here to tell us about her recent experience with Crohn's disease, gastroparesis, and intestinal failure. Welcome to the show, Anna.
Hi, Anna.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning. Thanks for having me back on.
Our pleasure.
Thank you for taking the time to join us again today. Tell us, how have you been the last few months?
It's been a lot of ups and downs. I think I've almost recovered from sepsis, but still kind of on a slow downward spiral because of sepsis and everything else that goes along with.
Sepsis is not good. When did you get sepsis?
Oh, I got sepsis right before our last set of interviews.
Mm-hmm.
So I was in the hospital in August for 2 weeks, and then again in October for 2 weeks.
Okay, sorry, I didn't.
Twice.
Okay.
And it takes a long while for your body to fully fight infection and get, fully recovered. It takes like months and months.
I'm sure.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And Anna, since Addison's disease is known for causing or leading to gastrointestinal symptoms typically, in about like 20% of the cases, was it difficult for your healthcare team to work out the fact that there was something more that was going on in your case?
Actually, I had the opposite problem.
Oh.
Because I was diagnosed with Crohn's in 2014.
Okay.
And gastroparesis, I was diagnosed with that, grouped in with the gastroparesis.
Okay.
So I had those diagnoses before the Addisons.
Okay.
So it actually made it harder. They kind of like overlooked a lot of the Addisons stuff because of my other GI symptoms.
Okay.
Plus having the having POTS,
Mm-hmm.
explaining the low blood pressure and all that.
Mm-hmm.
So they actually, instead of Addisons making it hard for them to look for GI issues made it hard for them to, acknowledge and realize that I had something more going on to look for the Addisons.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I mean, anytime there's an overlap, I guess that does make things more challenging.
Yeah.
What tests helped to diagnose Crohn's for you, the gastroparesis, and or the intestinal failure? Like, did you have to do swallow studies or swallow those little plastic rings?
So I had a lot of different tests. And then the gastric emptying scan, the gastroparesis, the one that really, the main test that kind of really leads to a diagnosis of gastroparesis is the gastric emptying study.
Okay.
And then you also use that to more or less monitor how the gastroparesis is doing, because sometimes it gets better and sometimes it gets worse.
Sure.
It kind of goes up and down.
Okay.
And intestinal failure, I did not end up having this test because I have, as my nurse called it, weird anatomy.
Oh.
Or strange anatomy.
Mm-hmm.
But I can't remember exactly how to pronounce it, but it's basically antroduotomy manometry.
Okay.
Or something similar to that, where they pretty much put you to sleep, so they can put wires and sensors that go from the beginning of your digestive tract to the end of your digestive tract.
Wow.
Like literally all the way through. And then they do some stuff. They put an IV.
Mm-hmm.
They also have you eat some stuff so they can see what your body does with that.
Okay.
And I did not do that because they could not get past my stomach.
Okay. Well, and that sounds like a really intensive test to have to go through. Wow. Okay.
I was told to figure 18 hours for that test.
Wow.
Yeah, that's a lot.
Or something like that. But I was like, I only did it because my doctor said that he had to confirm like how delayed my entire system was to determine like exactly what I needed for feeding tube and hydration and all this stuff.
Okay.
And then he came back and said, well, I don't really think we needed that test.
Okay. Oh, yeah. Wow.
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't even know how to answer that. Wow.
Yeah.
Anna, how's your healthcare team decided to treat what you just talked about?
Yeah. Well, luckily, right now, my Crohn's is in remission. And when it did flare a couple of years ago, it was when my gastroparesis and my Addisons was flared, so we only did some steroids. But the Crohn's, for now, I take Prilosec to manage the ulcers that I get with Crohn's. I'm on nausea meds, which kind of covers all three of those. All of them need nausea meds.
Oh.
All of them need acid reducer.
Mm-hmm.
And when I was eating with the Crohn's and with gastroparesis, like eating to get nutrition, there was diet modifications as far as what I could eat and digest. With the gastroparesis, I did end up needing a feeding tube, both for nutrition and for my medication.
Okay.
Because I was no longer absorbing my medication or breaking it down. You know, definitely. And we talked about it a little bit while we're waiting to get things started, but I have the GJ tube so that the J's for jejunum that goes into my intestines. That's where any feed would go and my medication would go. The G's for like gastric stomach, and anything I were to actually like eat and swallow gets drained out through there. Okay. As well as the excessive amount of stomach acid that's produced.
Okay.
And that is, per my GI doctor, that is part of my treatment protocol. Okay. Is that I have my J tube on, that I have my G tube on continuous drain. Okay. And then I take laxatives in different combinations depending on, what I need to keep things from getting stuck. Since it's just like the medications and acid that, go down in there. Right. So the intestinal failures and the gastroparesis, I'm on the TPN, but I also have a Dexcom because of both those conditions. I have pretty brittle hypoglycemia.
Okay. So that needs to be closely regulated, and that's what the okay.
Yeah, so it's related to the fact that my body doesn't absorb and regulate, sugar the way it's supposed to.
Sure. Okay. Well, yeah, and your poor system is going through a lot.
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
If your intestines aren't working properly, they're not absorbing nutrients either, right?
Yeah, they're not. And that's part of how we figured out, we kind of knew we're going towards intestinal failure because I was tolerating less and less of my feeding tube formula.
Oh, okay.
Like I got before CPN, I got to the point where I could tolerate less than a carton of the cream tube formula.
Mm-hmm.
So it was less than 400 calories
Oh my gosh.
that my body was tolerating. If I did any more than that,
Mm-hmm.
I would start to get sick.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
And a lot of that came from that big test where they tried to force the sensors
Mm-hmm.
through my sphincter between the stomach and the intestines that had completely closed up and were not opening, and that can happen with gastroparesis.
Okay.
But also, like, random spasms can happen actually with the MS too.
Mm-hmm.
But it was not going to open, and we believe that things got damaged during that because I started declining so much quicker after that test, and I was tolerating less and less formula.
Okay.
Okay. Anna, with the COVID restrictions imposed during your hospital stay, how did you keep your spirits up without contact, with family and friends coming to visit?
Via video chatting.
Oh. Okay.
So, which is actually kind of it, because I was able to actually have my Vietnamese adopted sister.
Mm-hmm.
Well, my best friend who was in Vietnam. So I got to visit with her before bed,
Okay.
and I got to I had video chats with my goddaughter in St. Louis.
Okay.
It kind of forced me to have video chats.
Okay.
Mhm.
Okay.
Because that's the only thing I could do. But it was definitely difficult to not be able to physically have people there in person.
Mm-hmm.
Right. I can imagine.
Yeah, and part of that was also without having people there in person, there was nobody there to remind the doctors
Mm-hmm.
that they had to treat their patients with respect.
Oh boy.
They couldn't bully their patients,
Mm-hmm.
lie to their patients. They couldn't be, strict and abrupt.
Mm-hmm.
I'm sorry you had to go through
so
that.
many doctors that I was just like, how and why would you think it was appropriate to say that to somebody?
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. Was there a
It was awful.
Yeah.
I did have some that would go above and beyond, but I had so many doctors that would say things that I'm like, you would never say that if there was someone else in the room
Mm-hmm.
that could back me up if I made a complaint.
Mm.
Oh, and trust me, I made complaints.
Oh, good. Okay.
Good.
Okay.
Good.
Because but it was really isolating when you're trying to heal physically. Because some of those times, the beginning of the stay, I couldn't hardly move because I was so sick. Yeah, I did not always keep my spirits up.
No,
through that.
no, I can
sorry.
imagine. Was there?
Sorry to hear that.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like reaching through the airwaves and giving you a big hug.
Yeah. And were you at a teaching hospital? I mean, are these new doctors? Is that why maybe they haven't really,
What hospital system are you in?
I was the worst. Actually, the teaching hospital
Mm-hmm.
was where it was the worst, and
Mhm.
it was not the student teachers,
Oh.
the student doctors. The student doctors were the ones that were apologizing
Oh.
for their teachers.
Oh my goodness.
Oh. Yeah.
Wow.
It
Wow.
was the older doctors
Time to hang up their
that were saying these
stethoscope,
sort
huh?
of things.
Yeah. Yeah. Keep teaching and don't spend time with the
Yeah.
patients.
Yeah.
Oh, geez. Yeah.
Yeah, I think some of the people are losing what's called bedside manner.
Yeah.
They didn't have to have it because nobody else was going to back you up.
Yeah, but I think it can.
And yeah,
But you shouldn't have to have somebody
Right.
back you up.
I think
It's called ethics.
well,
Yeah.
ethics, and if you treat people like people, or then you're going to have a better outcome overall. Yeah, it's also empathy. Wow.
Terrible.
There you go.
Yeah.
Yeah, and it was those doctors, those interactions, when you combined with the fact that I couldn't have anybody physically there, that caused a lot of meltdowns, breakdowns, a lot of a lot of times that it was like, what am I even doing here?
Yeah, your mental health. Your mental health.
Nobody wants to help, so why am I here?
Yeah.
Right.
Wow.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that.
I'm going to switch gears a little bit. Is that okay?
Go ahead.
All right. We've heard that you love food. Is that right?
Yes, I do.
Okay. I don't know about the pronunciation of this, but could you tell us how it affected you getting all your nutrition via total parenteral nutrition? Is that right?
Close. Total parental nutrition.
Okay.
So it almost sounds like parental, like parents,
Right.
slightly off. But yeah, because I can have some, not a lot. It's a limited amount of foods that I can eat and swallow. That, like I said earlier, I could drain out of my G tube. But it has to be more or less liquid, or easily becomes liquid when mixed with stomach acid, and it can't be something that needs the stomach muscls or much of anything to become liquid.
Okay.
So I have found that I can have bread, like soft white bread.
Okay.
Right.
No crust.
Right.
The crust is too thick. I can't break down the crust. But if it's soft, bunny, what is it called? Bunny bread?
Right.
Bread, really soft bread. And I can have cheese sauce and gravy. And so I'll make up beef gravy. And I'll put beef gravy and a little cheese sauce and just a small amount of barbecue sauce. I'll put that in toaster oven. Okay. And then, it's not exactly the same, but it's got the same flavor profile as a cheeseburger.
Okay.
So I have, I think growing up with my dad, who very loosely follows recipes.
Oh, okay. He's a creative cook.
Help prepare me for that.
Okay.
So I can do stuff like that, but there's also certain foods, and this is something that I would not recommend for anybody other than those who have discussed it with your doctor and who have severe gastroparesis, or even you're in a gastroparesis flare, or other condition that causes digesting food very difficult. And I don't do it very often. And my Dexcom this whole time has been.
I know. I don't know. Do you need to do something?
Yeah. No. I have given it sugar, and it keeps bouncing between 70, which is good, and 65, which is bad.
Oh. Okay.
It's ridiculous. But there are certain foods that I do still miss. So once in a while, I will get that food, or usually it's my mom will get that food, and I'll be able to chew it a little bit, enough to get the flavor and the texture. Because some good amount of time, it's also the texture that I'm missing. And so I'll chew it. I'll chew it some, and then I'll spit it into a cup or the paper bag so that I can just throw it away. And it's my doctor calls it pleasure eating.
No, right,
and
I
he
understand.
actually encourages it.
Yeah.
For those of us who can't eat and swallow, and it's going to be a lifelong thing, and we don't know how long the lifelong is.
So I understand that, you were saying that pleasure eating is in a very, very specific, your very, very, very specific situation is encouraged because you do need to get enjoyment out of life. And I know you were concerned about even discussing it because you don't want to facilitate or encourage individuals that have food-related psychological, conditions regarding food. And I totally understand that. But then I understand you want to get the texture. Like for me, I like crunchy. And you can't really get crunchy through. If you get crunchy through your TPN, you're in trouble.
Yes. If your TPN is crunchy, you better go to the ER. Stop that pump and go to the ER.
Yeah.
Because there is a problem.
Right.
Oh, yeah.
Right.
Well, and I think it's amazing that you are able to, facilitate your own care and do so much of your own care.
Yeah.
I mean, if we were giving out honorary degrees in medicine, you'd be at the top of the list.
Oh yeah, I have a visiting nurse that comes once a week that draws my blood and changes my dressing for a central line, which I maybe could do only because my joints are so hypermobile. But I really shouldn't.
No. Yeah.
I probably would dislocate something.
Sure. Yeah.
And not realize it because I dislocate things so often. Some things don't hurt and some things do.
Okay.
But she says she's learned things from me because I've had a central line for probably about 4 years now.
Oh wow.
A central line of some sort for about 4 years. So I know some of the tricks in the trade that
Right.
she might not have known because she hasn't been living with central line for 4 years.
Right. Right.
And I could probably do some degree of nursing. I'm not going to.
Absolutely. We understand that. Right. Right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Well, and at the very least, I think you should write. You could write a book about all your tips or give advice to new physicians and nursing students and what works and what little tips you have for them. And for those of you listening who don't know what a central line is, that's not even typically in a hospital. A physician will be putting in a central line because it is a potentially risky, not treatment, a potentially risky procedure. So you have a lot of knowledge there.
You are right. Anna, I had one quick question. I don't know if I honestly don't know if we covered this because I was taking care of a barking dog. Are you allowed to eat any soups?
Soups, as long as they are like a smooth soup. So if I
blended?
like a tomato basil soup and put it through the blender.
Right.
Or my favorite is, one of my favorites is the lobster bisque.
Oh, I love that one too.
Panera.
Yes.
Or Zoops.
Right,
Zoop
right. Zoop. Yep. So do you?
Those, I love seafood.
Okay.
And my parents and my sister both had mussels over the weekend.
Oh.
And I was like, I wish mussels was something that
You could blend.
could be blendable.
Yeah.
But I don't think they would hold up. I don't think the flavor for that would hold up in a blender.
Well,
But a lobster bisque would hold up in a blender.
right.
Okay.
Now,
Do you want to hear a funny story?
Oh.
what's that?
You want to hear a funny story? You know how you were saying that sometimes texture is what you want?
Yeah.
And sometimes the look of the product. Wouldn't you agree?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, when we went camping, when my girls were little, maybe 7 years old. Okay?
I'm going to preface this by saying I often try to help others. I do not often succeed at this.
Okay, just let me tell you this. It's a funny story.
Oh, it's hilarious.
I used to love oysters. okay? And we were camping in Florida, and I picked up a bunch of oysters, and I had them in the cooler, and I lay down to take a nap. And while I was sleeping, my brother, who was camping with us, had shucked all the oysters and opened them, and my girls decided to help also, and they just scooped them all out of the shells and put them in a bowl and handed them to me. And I'm like, what the heck is that? It looked like a bowl of mucus. And it just lost all of its appetizing ability just by the change of the look.
Yeah, and she won't eat oysters to this day. Yep.
So I can understand how you really kind of really get into the look and the texture and the taste. So whatever you can do, right? If there are any soups that you can blend, do that, right?
Yeah.
Well, and Anna, I have a question. Are you eligible for intestinal rehab, or maybe even, and I know it's a very complex and rarely done procedure, maybe a small bowel transplant?
Neither of them have been even suggested.
Okay.
But part of that could be because I think we counted nine conditions in total, at least. We may have forgotten one or two.
Okay.
And several of them are autoimmune conditions.
Okay.
So I don't know if I'd be eligible or not.
Mm-hmm.
I see my GI doctor next month, and I can put that on the list of things to discuss with him.
Mm-hmm.
But right now, my big thing is seeing if he will agree to other methods for pain control.
Okay.
/ nausea control.
Mm-hmm.
Because to get it IV, he would have to prescribe it.
Oh, okay.
But because getting it pain control and nausea control through my J tube is not working very well.
Okay. So maybe a pain pump or something.
But it's one of those things that he's never brought up.
Okay.
So I don't know if it's not an option.
Okay.
And that's why he never brought it up, or he just has never thought of it.
Okay.
Okay.
And what hospital did you say you're at?
University of Michigan.
Okay. Good hospital.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. Most of my doctors are at University of Michigan.
Okay.
Well, Anna, speaking of the hospital, how were you able to use self-care while you were there?
Self-care around the hospital is something I do struggle with. A lot of it is because I'm just so fatigued.
Mm-hmm.
When I'm there, I really just don't do a lot while I'm in the hospital, at least for the first half of the hospital.
Okay.
I do have packed in my go bag that I have packed just 24/7.
Mm-hmm.
Like face wipes and stuff like that, so I can at least get clean.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of, in a way, that's a good part of self-care, is just being able to physically get clean.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
And focusing on doing something for myself.
Mm-hmm.
But self-care is is something that's difficult for me just in and out of the hospital.
Okay.
Jean and I both like meditating with self-guided meditation tapes. Have you ever tried those?
I've tried self-meditation.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know, I've never really been able to get into anything like that.
Okay. All right, fair enough.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And Anna, what role have your family and friends played in your healthcare journey?
I would say my friends and family have more or less they've been like my cheerleaders. They played a huge role. My parents, one of my two parents go to pretty much all of my doctor's appointments and advocate for me as much as they can.
Mm-hmm.
And the worse my brain fog is, the more they advocate for me because I can't.
Mm-hmm.
My older sister, unfortunately, she's my second bout of sepsis. She ended up being the one to take me to the ER, and she actually stayed with me for the first half of the hospital stay.
Oh, wow.
She stayed with me.
Nice.
And didn't leave
Mm-hmm.
because I was in and out of, I guess, not consciousness, but I was delusional,
Mm-hmm.
in and out of being delusional.
Mm-hmm.
Not remembering my birth date. I apparently had a fight with her and the nurse that they couldn't put the Tylenol through my J-tube. It had to go through my IV, but they couldn't use the IV form. It was this, I was completely delusional.
Mm-hmm.
And so and this was in October, so we were in the ER for over 24 hours waiting for a bed.
Oh, wow.
And the nurses she had to do a lot of advocating with the nurses to even pay attention to me.
Mm-hmm.
She can't get up and go to the bathroom
Mm-hmm.
because you have her hooked to the wall,
Mm-hmm.
and she needs to go,
Mm-hmm.
and all this stuff.
Right.
Okay.
The little
She needs
important
payment.
things.
Yeah. The little things in life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And she comes down and she spends time with me, to give my parents a break, or just to spend time with me and find something fun we can do at the house that's not going to use all my energy.
Mm-hmm.
And my one friend, she dropped off random little gifts for me,
Oh.
just because she knows it'll make me smile.
Mm-hmm. That's wonderful.
And so, my friends have kind of helped me they're helping me get through this time.
Mm-hmm.
Good.
So they're crucial in me getting through COVID and being chronically ill during COVID where I can't see anybody. So yeah, my friends and my family without them,
Mm-hmm.
I probably wouldn't have been able to get through this time in my life.
Sure. Yeah, because it does. I mean, it sounds very taxing, and and sepsis can really.
Yeah, you're lucky to have them on your side.
Yes, that's wonderful. So yeah, kudos to them. Yeah, and kudos to you for getting through that 2 bouts of sepsis. That's challenging. Anna, what's the best advice you've received?
Okay. With me during those times, so yeah.
That's great. And it's great that even though COVID limited a lot of guests in the hospital, I think it's important to have family. They can, help you recover quickly or quicker.
Yep.
Very nice. Anna, what's the best advice you've received for coping with rare diseases? And what advice would you give to someone recently diagnosed with a rare disease?
Yeah. I know last time I had said, kind of find your tribe,
Mm-hmm.
Your people that help you out and can surround you with love,
Mm-hmm.
and can be there for you no matter what. And I was thinking about what else I could add to that, and I kind of thought, and it's not just joining the Facebook groups,
Mm-hmm.
but I've actually become Facebook friends with some of the people on Facebook groups that they're in the same boat as me.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they're not 100% in the same boat as me, but they're dealing with a lot of stuff with me, which has been very helpful.
Mm-hmm.
But also be willing to ask for help. Find your local group that
Mm-hmm.
That aren't all special needs moms or parents of adult children with medical issues.
Okay.
Sure.
Your friends that you grew up with or that your kids grew up with and their parents, and become a support for each other,
Mm-hmm.
so that you're not always being, help other people out as well.
Sure.
Absolutely.
So you don't feel like a burden all the time.
You're not.
We all know you're not a burden.
Okay, I was gonna say.
Right.
I hope
you don't feel like it.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not a burden, but sometimes you feel like you are.
Sure.
If you're always the one asking for help.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes when you're able to ask for help from other people or be helpful to someone else,
Mm-hmm.
it makes you feel good when you can help someone else out.
Yes,
Sure.
absolutely.
Anna, how can our listeners learn more about you as well as Crohn's disease, gastroparesis, and intestinal failure?
Okay. Learning more about me, I keep my Facebook page private, so I would say don't look for me on there.
Okay.
I keep that private for safety reasons.
Okay.
But I do have my orange_zebra86 Instagram page.
Okay.
That that's part of my advocacy page. I'm working on trying to be a little more present and posting on that a little more often.
Okay.
Okay.
And so you definitely go there, follow me. You can send me a message or comment on a post. I'll get back with you.
Mm-hmm.
And definitely I would love to hear from anybody.
Excellent.
As far as learning about Crohn's,
Mm-hmm.
there is the Crohn's and Colitis Foundation organization. They have one for the US and they have one for I believe Canada is their resources and that are under the UK.
Okay.
I believe there's on the UK. I don't think Canada has their own website.
Okay.
And gastroparesis, you would find it under GPAC. So it's G-PAC as in Charlie,
Okay.
T as in Thomas.
Oh, okay.
Oh, okay,
PACT.
okay,
Okay.
okay.
Got it.
Got it.
PACT. Okay.
Okay, got
I
it.
will put a link for
Yep,
that.
and then that's believe.com.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll put a link
And
for that.
then, that one, I have found information about it under the NORAD.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, right.
Yes,
Right.
Yes,
Right.
yes.
Right.
Yeah.
So the NORD.org.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
Okay.
Right. Yeah, I use that one a lot when I'm researching.
Yeah.
A lot of rare diseases. Okay.
Yeah, I did not find much elsewhere.
Mhm.
There might be, I think I saw like one article on intestinal failure on the Ehlers Danlos Syndrome
Mm-hmm.
page.
Okay.
Yep.
And there is some information on gastroparesis on the Ehlers Danlos Syndrome page,
Mm-hmm.
which makes sense. They're one of the two conditions that causes my gastroparesis.
Right.
Okay.
Okay.
Right. Yeah.
Mine is fun and caused by EDS and MS.
Yes.
Because I am just awesome fun.
You are, extra special sauce.
Yes, I am.
I feel ya. Yeah. You got to keep the doctors on their toes.
Of course. Why not?
Well, we'll be sure to include links for all of those on our website, Anna. And thank you so much for joining us again today.
Yes, it's always a joy to have to get a chance to talk with you. Oh, I think
And Anna, again, your story, thank you. Thank you for sharing it. Please keep in touch and let us know
Yes.
how you're doing, okay?
Well, I'm sure in another month or so I'll think of. I have enough conditions. I'm sure
You could keep us going for a year.
yes.
I'll pop up on your screen again.
I'm sure you will.
We welcome you back.
Yes,
Yeah. We'll
for
just have to
sure.
keep
Yes,
you
I
at.
know.
Yeah.
But I gotta give other people a chance too.
Okay.
No, that's okay.
Okay.
Yep.
Thank you very
So
much.
if our listeners have any questions or comments related to today's show, They can contact us at PodcastDX@yahoo.com, through our website, PodcastDX.com, on Facebook, Twitter, Pinterest, or Instagram.
And if you have a moment to spare, please give us a review wherever you get your podcast and subscribe. As always, please keep in mind that this podcast is not intended to be a substitute for professional medical advice, diagnosis, or treatment, and always seek the advice of your physician or other qualified healthcare provider with any questions you may have regarding a medical condition or treatment and before undertaking a new healthcare regime. And never disregard professional medical advice or delay in seeking it because of something you've heard in this podcast.
Till next week.